Dear viewers, I'm Zainab Sarfraz Ahmed, a student of Geopolitics and Semitic Languages from Karachi, Pakistan. This is perhaps one of the most important videos of security and defense expert Pravin Sawhney we're going to talk about. But the question is why he is underscoring the need for a revisit of the 27th Constitutional Amendment now after it has been okayed or adopted by the Senate of Pakistan. Moreover, some of the points Mr. Sawhney has raised reflect his lack of interest in Pakistan's political system and the existence of a hybrid system of governance. The new challenge of stepped up India Afghanistan belligerence amid a strong likelihood of another attack on Pakistan by India has necessitated the need for military reforms or key structural changes through this bill. But be that as it may, let me try to explain or report Mr. Sawhney's argument or perspective. But let me make it very clear from the outset that he is not spot on insofar as his opposition to the aspects of the 27th Constitutional Amendment bill that deal with military changes is concerned. Mr. Pravin Sawhney's latest video sheds light on Pakistan's controversial constitutional amendment bill, proposing significant shifts in the role of army chief. According to Mr. Sawhney, the bill threatens Pakistan's hard-earned credible deterrence, a key factor in its rising geopolitical profile. With Operation Sindoor on pause, he warns this legislation risks escalating tensions between India and Pakistan, carrying for reaching regional and global implication. In this video, Mr. Sawhney zeroes in on the bill's military aspect, which he identifies as the core of these proposed changes, touching on judiciary, center-state relations, and more. Mr. Sawhney highlights three crucial changes to Pakistan's military structure outlined in the Dawn newspaper. First, the army chief will concurrently hold the position of Chief Defense Forces, making them the constitutional leader of the three service chiefs collective. Essentially, while collaborative discussions among the chiefs are possible, the army chief will constitutionally prevail. Second, the post of Chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff, a four-star position, will be abolished on November 27th with the current mandatory term ending. This eliminates the head of the Joint Staff headquarters, rendering two crucial organizations headless: the Strategic Plans Division overseeing nuclear weapons and the three strategic commands managing nuclear supporting assets. The National Command Authority (NCA), Pakistan Apex defense body chaired by the Prime Minister, will also see a shift. With the chairman joint chiefs gone, the army chief, currently one of three service members, is assured to become the dominant military voice, potentially overshadowing the Prime Minister in NCA decisions on war, peace, and nuclear use. Third, a new National Strategic Command will be established, headed by a commander appointed by the Prime Minister on the Army Chief's recommendation. Mr. Sawhney says this will place the headless organization under this command, allowing the Army Chief to retain control of Pakistan's nuclear weapons and strategic assets. In essence, the bill centralizes the power with the army chief, deciding conventional warfare, controlling nuclear weapons, and dominating NCA decision on war and nuclear use. A scenario Mr. Sawhney finds alarming in a democracy, especially with Pakistan's tense regional dynamics. Let's listen to this further insight.
In my assessment, those two headless organizations will come here under the National Strategic Command, with this commander overseeing this command, which has been appointed by the army chief, because through this, in this way, and I will explain this a little more a little later, this way the army chief will retain total command and control of Pakistan's nuclear weapon and strategic assets. Now, when we look at these three big changes, it tells us that the army chief in Pakistan, once the bill is passed, he will decide matters of conventional warfare, all aspects of it. He will be the last word. Then it is the Pakistan army chief who will be the sole custodian, or the big person who will decide command and control of Pakistan's nuclear weapons, and he, as the prevailing authority in the National Command Authority, will decide issues of war and peace, obviously more with India, and will also decide if and when Pakistan's nuclear weapons are to be used.
Mr. Sawhney contrasts the bill's proposal of unlimited power for Pakistan Army Chief with the outcome of Operation Bunyan and Marsoos and India's Operation Sindoor in May 2025. The international verdict was Pakistan's military emerged as a peer competitor to India. Thanks to the Pakistan Air Force, impressive air-to-air operations on the first night, a May 8, 2025 briefing by DGISPR, three-star Army officer and Air Vice Marshal Aurangzeb highlighted Pakistan's multi-domain operation, satisfying international concern. Mr. Sawhney stresses this difference sharply with the bill granting unchecked power to the army chief, a move not aligned with Pakistan demonstrated deterrence. Let's listen to him again.
So, the point to make here is that in this briefing, which was as important as what the Pakistan Air Force actually did, it was the two-star Air Force officer and not the three-star Army officer who was the lead in the briefing. And the reason was that Army and the Air Force, and this is relevant to the Indian military also, they have their core competencies. When they have similar doctrines and they do coordinated operations, so they have different core competencies, and the core competency of a service, it depends on its force levels. For example, as far as the army is concerned, now we are talking of Pakistan Army, its force levels are structured around manpower. So it's about manpower, more people, it is less about technology, which is not the case with the Air Force and the Navy. Their force levels are structured around platforms and technologies, and as more and more technologies come in warfare, these are the people of these two services, the Air Force and the Navy, who get to understand and to get the technology in their service faster than the Army. Because of this basic thing, which is the core competencies are different. Now, and this is, of course, also the reason why when in Pakistan they set up the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Computing, it a very technical thing, technology intensive. So it was under the Pakistan Air Force and not the Pakistan Army. So once we understand this basic thing, here is my point. And the point is, it is not unusual in the Pakistan Army to have the chief by deep selection. So a situation can come, which is very much possible, that there is a army chief who is junior in seniority to the Air Force chief, who understands much less of technology than the Air Force chief understands, but it is the army chief who constitutionally will have the last word on deterrence and last word on conventional war.
Mr. Pravin Sawhney claims this bill risks undermining Pakistan's military deterrence. Deep selection could put a less tech, intelligent army chief junior to Air Force, Navy chiefs in charge of defense and war decisions. With Pakistan Navy expanding, example 8 AIP submarines from China by 2028 roll in Indian Ocean. Cutting edge tech demands all services have a say. On nuclear aspects, Mr. Sawhney notes the Chairman Joint Chiefs post created 1976 rotational, now army dominated, was meant for balanced oversight. The bill's National Strategic Command, headed by three-star under the Army Chief, risk Army control of nuclear assets, sidelipping other services. For Pakistan, nuclear weapons aren't about fighting. They're kept under the SPD, a four-star chairman now bypassed.
So, what has happened now that the army chief wants it under his direct control? And I think the answer is to be found in what President Trump has been saying for quite some time. President Trump, who has given a strategic role to Pakistan, has repeatedly said that he's the one who brought peace between India and Pakistan. He got the ceasefire in that 4-day operation and he stopped a nuclear war. He's repeatedly spoken about stopping a nuclear war. I think this is what has spurred Asim Munir to now seriously consider that yes, while the nuclear weapons have no role in war fighting with India, they are important for the risen profile of Pakistan geopolitical profile, and therefore they should now be directly under the Pakistan Army Chief. And in my assessment, this is the reason why all these changes have been made and why the Joint Staff Headquarters has been done away with and the National Strategic Command has been created. But this is for the Pakistan military to decide. Now, here is my key point that I want to, why I made this video. My reason is that when you give so much of power to a single person, and given the state of India Pakistan relations, we know they are not normal. We know that Pakistan regularly accuses India of meddling in Baluchistan, bringing their instability by supporting the BLA, and that India is behind the support of TTP in Afghanistan against Pakistan. And on the Indian side, it is regularly said that it is the Pakistan army and the army chief who's behind the proxy war that is going on in Jammu and Kashmir. So, given the state of the situation that exists today between India and Pakistan, in my assessment, uh, it is a very dangerous proposition that there be one single person in Pakistan who can roughshod the National Command Authority and take decisions on about war and peace. One single person with minimal checks and balances on him. So my point is that it does not help the Pakistan's deterrence, and it brings India and Pakistan closer to a hot war, which does not help the region, which does not help the development of the two countries and the region. Now, in my opinion, the only people who can get a sincere or a sensible review of this bill, which I said is very contrary to the verdict of the 4-day operation, are the 9 corps commanders. Because the Pakistan Army Chief draws strength or the power from his 9 corps commanders, so it is up to them to see what is best for their country and best for the military. Thank you so much.
In conclusion, while Mr. Pravin Sawhney raises concerns about centralizing power with Pakistan Army chiefs, the constitutional amendment bill aims to streamline command structures for enhanced national security. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel for more in-depth geopolitical analysis and updates.